Welcome back, Peter McGuire. The year is 2021, the first interview out of the studio for the year, mate. Talk me through the break. What's been happening since we spoke? What are the trade signals occurring? What are the big news items that people are trading on right now?
Well, good morning, Will. It has been a very interesting week and a half since Christmas, and wishing Boardroom Media all the best for 21. We've seen that continued softness as far as US dollar. We're now at that 89.8 handle. Our Aussie dollar's at 77, so it's very, very quickly ratcheted up from that 74 mark. We've got stronger energy prices. We've got a Dow that's hit records nearly every second or third day since the break. And seems to be a momentum building there. We've got an election for the Georgia situation our time tomorrow. The next day we've got the Electoral colleges voting on the US presidency. So and we end the week, when you think about it, non-farm payrolls at 100,000 positions is the forecast, well down from that 245 and 500 and 700 and a million jobs. 100,000 doesn't even replace population growth. So maybe that US is at an inflection point. How do they get that re-engagement or get the economy really moving forward? It's grown to a certain point, but now it's all about getting those unemployed people back into the workforce.
So unemployment, the non-farm payroll piece. We've got the elections in Georgia, and we're just talking the US there.
Yep.
Going around the world.
Brexit. We saw that. Boris and his boys got that over the line, and that was a fairly big momentum for certainly the pound, and a realisation, they've severed the ties between Europe and the UK. So that's been put to bed. We've got the Euro's hitting at about that 122, 122.50. So that's had a nice move to the upside. You've had Bank of Japan, they're looking at what they're going to do. The Nikkei's at 31-year highs. It's been, when you think about it, there's been a lot of action. I've been working every day through.
You've worked through it. A lot of others have too. Not that many people are doing their big family holiday, overseas, around the country. Well, there's probably a little bit around the country in a lot of countries. We haven't spoken China. So if we think, the Russians, the Chinese, the Europeans, we've seen the Brexit happen out, and we've got the distraction of the US election.
Yes.
We're setting up for a week of trade that we don't really know what those signals will be. Where do you sit? Volatility. Will there be mayhem? Will there be chaos? What will it be?
I think you've got to be very mindful that if something peculiar happens, and we're talking about the last time we saw anything like this was about 1886, I believe, in the election. I wasn't here at that time. Will, you may have been, but I wasn't. And
working hard on my stem cell.
Yeah, you're doing well. So that puts us back to this is uncharted territory and what impact this has. Now, I saw overnight Ted Cruz is saying, the senator from Texas, that they're looking at over 10 or 11 senators going against the framework as far as what's expected in Washington on Wednesday. So these people are going to complain, going to argue the case. They're allowed 2 hours each to argue for each state, and how it moves forward from there is really an unknown. But if something unusual happens, then I'm sure that's going to have a very, very big impact to the markets. I feel, and it's too early to call, it's too hard to analyse, but if I'm a trader, I'd certainly have to be very mindful that there could be a huge move this week, Will.
Mate, we're talking about non-farm payrolls. I mean, do we expect any big changes there?
No,
I mean, the only thing I see changing, if I'm looking at the numbers, is the number goes up on the corona case, if we're talking non-farm payrolls in the US. So.
Yeah, exactly. You've had retail sales. We're going to get all of that data coming through over the next couple of weeks. But when you're looking at that market PMI number coming out of the States, we're very much thinking that it's fully grown, the unemployment number. So, as far as re-engagement, it's going to be a long, hard grind from here. 21's not going to be a great year compared to what we experienced in 20. I think as far as that recovery factor, big unemployment gains.
Well, we're talking stocks too here a little bit, because stocks finished 2020 fully priced. I mean,
fully priced and booming.
Right. So if we come in here, I mean, are we seeing the mayhem and the chaos that we talk about may see a big sell-off? We spoke a bit about that a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Or certain sectors may drive harder. Uranium, rare earths, some of the critical and strategic metals.
Yes, there's no doubting that. And of course, I'm watching overnight, I think Elon Musk, 499,500 cars delivered for 2020. Yep. Big number, man. Big number, and what his forecast is moving forward. So from from a new age energy, yes, I'd have to say those rare earths are very well positioned. It's something we don't trade, but I'm very mindful of it as far as what impact it has to the energy markets, what impact it has to US dollar, and we're at a rig count just for the oil market. The US has been, a huge producer, but their rig count now is at their lowest level, I think, since around about 2005, 2006. So it's really been crimped to the downside because cheap energy prices. As energy starts to come up in price, naturally that elastic workforce will get re-engaged.
So we expect so equities to grind a bit higher, gold to sort of come back a little bit perhaps? Or...
Well, it's 1895, Will. It's had a very big move, 25% up this year, or last year I should say, 2020. So it ended on a very strong note. There's potential there if that US dollar comes under further weakness. If Biden's in, I think that there's talk that they're going to look at try and raise taxes, corporate taxes that is. So that's a realisation of what impact it has to US dollar and corporate profits. So I truly believe that US dollar is we're now in that 89 handle. I think it's an 88, 87 I'll go 88 by the end of Feb. It's
all right,
a big move.
So some optimism there around that particular point. I want to talk Bitcoin before we wrap. We've run 5 minutes and we're almost out of time here, but Bitcoin's blowing the lights out of most people's homes, right? 34,000 thereabouts today. It's rallied strong.
It's parabolic, the growth, Will. If you look at it from a chart perspective, a technical analyst would say, when's the pullback? I'm not sure. Nothing goes up.
We've already seen it.
Maybe we have. Maybe
it's pulled back a while back, and look at it now.
Maybe it's 100,000 trade. I don't know. But all I know is it's had a very big move to the upside. I'm not a doomsayer on it. I think there's probably big potential in that whole sector over the next decades. But it's had such a huge move, depending on the instrument you're trading, depending on how you trade it. But it's certainly something I think most people would have to have in their portfolio to some extent.
All right. Well, 21 I think is going to be just as wild as 20. Different sectors will move at different times. We'll see. I'm sure we will see the chaos as we saw it. Perhaps as some of us experienced, play back out over the next 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Pete, wrap it up for me. Tell me what sectors in your mind are going to work really hard this year?
I think the currency markets, there might be a little bit more movement to it, but I'm not sure whether you're going to really, I think 20 was our year for currencies. If I'm looking at interest rate, there's no movement there because we've got this COVID dilemma across the whole world and there's no chance of any push to the upside. As far as equities, are they fully stretched? Is there more upside? PE ratios are at, but it comes down to earnings. So maybe there's a little bit further growth, but I think each month you've just got to look at this with hands on.
Cash flow's going to be king, right?
Cash flow's king and performance. And then you're looking at, the commodity side, China's appetite. From an Australian producer, what impact are they going to have as far as coal and their other commodities that they're hitting us over the head with? Or are we going to sort that geopolitical stance and for the better? And all of a sudden we're onward and upward from a domestic viewpoint.
Pete, wrapping it there. Let's see what happens for the rest of the week, and mate, I'll check back with you next week, and we'll see just how we're really going. And
so who's in power in America?
Who's in America, and what the latest on the fishing rights really around England.
Yes. Take care. Enjoy your cod.